Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As-salatu was-salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, meaning, let's get on to the matter at hand. My name is Abdullah Muslim, and this is Islam Works. This is our third episode with our guest, Brother Safwan, and we've been talking about the influences of Satanism and witchcraft on the world around us. And in the last episode, I mentioned about how one of the executives in a major corporation made a statement that technology, properly assembled and operational, is a type of magic. Okay? So but if you look at technology and what it's used for in today's world, you know, can we honestly say that the world is a better place? Okay, we have air conditioning, we have electric lights, we have movie cameras that enable us to communicate, we have all types of communication devices. My contention is it depends on how you use it as to whether or not it makes life better. It depends on how you use it, what your intention is, your niyyah. That's the technology. But what about everyday human interactions? Let's go on from where we start last episode, Brother Safwan.
Well, we were talking about the interview I had with the lady who happened to be a Wiccan. And, you know, I did ask her what was the difference. But I was asking about the pentagram, then I asked her about those things that they worshipped. And she said to me that they didn't worship the devil, the witches. Rather, the Satanists.
They believed in the devil, but they don't worship him. Is that
well, the Wiccans worship the elements and the horned animals. Some of them worship the sun, the moon, the stars. They're pagans.
Okay.
Some
they have different schools of thought.
Yeah, some of them worship the actual devil himself. They're called Satanists. They're not a particular organized group, as she told me. Then you have the Lucifer, and then they sacrifice animals to Satan. As to where the...
What about humans? Are witches into human sacrifice?
From the witches, from the Wiccans, from them are the Satanists, and from them are the Luciferians. These are different groups who go by different creeds within worshiping Shaitan. The Luciferians sacrifice people to Satan, while the Satanists sacrifice animals to Satan. As we know, Allah told us in the salati to say, in the salati, my prayer, wa nusuki, my sacrifice, my living and my dying, wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen, for God, Allah, the Lord of all that exists.
You know, it kind of shows the mercy of Allah also in giving humanity prophets, because human sacrifice would seem like the ultimate thing, because there are so many societies that practiced it. And if you look at Prophet Abraham, alayhi salatu wassalam, what was he getting ready to do? He's getting ready to sacrifice his son based on a dream. And at the moment, it was based on a dream.
It's based on the commandment of Allah.
Excuse me, commandment of Allah. Okay. And at that point, he, almost at the point of sacrifice, All right, the angel came and told him, no, don't do that. Sacrifice an animal instead. Okay, a sheep.
Again,
in particular.
a commandment of Allah.
Of Allah, yes. Okay,
Yeah.
and that to me and to one brother whom was he was an imam, all right, was a sign that there was no longer, the human sacrifice was no longer accepted, or it was never necessary, but it was no longer accepted as a means of appeasing a God, Allah. Okay, so I'm just adding, saying that it shows the mercy of Allah.
Yes.
All right,
And his infinite wisdom, particularly for Abraham, who was called the friend of Allah, meaning the sincere worshiper, from the sincere friend or worshiper from the human to or from the created to the creator. Right? There are many different verses from them that deals with protecting oneself or gaining protection from God against the people who practice magic, and they are the last two verses, or last two surahs or chapters of the Quran, Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas.
okay.
Surah Al-Falaq,
which I just read from. I read from Nas in the last
Surah
episode.
Al-Nas. Surah Al-Falaq deals with outward harms that can possibly come to you from the envy and evil eye, from magic, from people trying to cast spells on you. Surah An-Nas deals with what happens internally. So we seek refuge with the Lord of mankind, the Master of mankind, and the God of mankind, the one that is worshipped.
Okay.
And deserves to be worshipped. And then, from those evil whisperers of the evil people and jinns. And those evil people and jinns have a name, and that is Satan or Shaitan. Shaitan, Arabic for Satan. Satan, English for Arabic, Shaitan.
Okay.
And as every jinn, every Satan, every Shaitan is a jinn. But not every jinn is a shaitan, as we know.
That would be the believing jinn.
The Muslim jinns.
The Muslim jinn.
All right? They're just like humans in terms of having their own free will and an intellect. However, and they choose right from wrong, just like humans do. But they're created from a different source than humans. All right? They're commanded, though, to worship Allah and single Him out in all of their worship. Okay? In terms of being worshipped themselves, then some of them know better and they decide to be worshipped by humans, and some of them don't want to be worshipped by humans, but are worshipped, and sometimes they even try to turn the humans away. What are you doing, you foolish? We see it all the time.
Right.
I hear about it in the cartoons. You foolish mortal. They say it all the time.
Now, with all of this information and throughout history, all right, how does Islam, all right, you mentioned about the various prayers that we can make, the surahs, the ayats that have been revealed, and the encouragement is always to do good. Always to do good, okay? I know that, like, for instance, there's one hadith when the Prophet ﷺ has said that we should do good even if it's against ourselves. This is a hadith, yeah. And I know in the Quran we're always encouraged to be truthful, okay? And to me that always meant that in order to be truthful and to tell the truth, even if it's against ourselves, I used to always ask my children, what does that mean? It means that you should not do anything that you have to lie about. Okay? That's what it means. Okay? And that alone would protect us a great deal from a lot of the evil schemes that are worked out against humanity. Of course, there are other things that are done that cause us difficulties, but that was just one thing I wanted to add to our conversation, our talk. So go ahead, brother.
I also asked the lady, when she told me that it was and she told me, when I asked her about the pentagram, and she told me that, it was a protection, and I asked her against what? She told me that was a good question. Again, like I said, that made me realize that these people are liars, and it's their way of life to lie, as to where Allah tells us to, like you said, encourage one another to speak the truth, and encourage one another and help one another to have patience. He tells us to strive for the paradise. These people, they tell us to strive, don't even strive for paradise, that the paradise doesn't exist. There are many different things that they go into in terms of their belief that I don't think we have enough time for.
Right.
But
I know that there's one part of them that believes that it's not necessary. Don't give poor people money. For what? Don't help the poor.
They also say, why believe in God when you can believe in good for goodness sake?
Yeah.
When you can do good for goodness sake.
Okay.
All right. So, and that was on a bulletin board about almost 10 years ago now, if not 10 years ago, on the side of a bus, as to where they have at their disposal technology and the media. So they're able to spread their ideas through these means. The Muslim, he has word of mouth, and he goes out and he calls the people to the truth.
He has the word of mouth. He also has his behavior.
He has his
Because
character,
remember, his character,
and he has his statements.
Yeah, because one of the most powerful forms of calling people to Islam, especially that I'm aware of in Africa and in Asia also, like places like Indonesia and what they call Malaysia today, all right, was the behavior of the Muslims from Yemen, okay, and how they, and also I can never forget these people, the Mandingo tribe in Africa, the Mandinka. Mandingo, I don't know what the difference is between the two, okay, I don't know if there is a difference, maybe just a dialect or a pronunciation, but they were also very powerful, but it was their behavior, the honesty in their business dealings, and these things, okay? And, but the other part of it is that, if you think about the world, all right, especially the Western world, all right, how out of this Western mentality for freedom, without understanding that freedom comes with a great deal of responsibility, okay? You have a thing called organized crime, all right? You have people who have organized themselves around providing people with the things that God has said are forbidden to make money, okay? So they could live a life of luxury in this dunya, in this particular life, in this place and time. And this seems once again something that has been whispered into the hearts and the minds of men, all right? Suggestions that were made to them that came from sources that they don't know, they don't understand, okay? But that's explained in the Quran. Where we come from, New York, okay? Greenwich Village, all right, was a place that I can't say now, but it was a place that was originally founded by people who were involved in Wicca, all right? And they, that's what it was known for, Greenwich Village.
Well, it's spelled Greenwich Village.
Okay. I never thought about it that way, but you're right, yeah. Okay. And, you have, like, for instance, when people go to England, everybody wants to see the Stonehenge, okay? This is something else that was involved in that type of worship. And you find that a lot of these societies where these people do these things, there's a certain amount of behavior, all right, that would be considered by Bible, Quran, or Torah is immoral, all right? There's loose relationships between men and women relationships that, when you look at children that come out of relationships where the mother and the father are not married, okay, where they haven't made a commitment, all right, before God and the community in which they live in towards one another, okay, to one another, okay, the children oftentimes grow up insecure. The children oftentimes grow up thinking that the society around them, all right, is something that places them in a position of inferiority, all right, and therefore they have no right or no reason to respect that society. And often, not, I can't say oftentimes, but many times you find that people that grow up in that particular mindset, or a lot of times the people who grow up to become the criminals within the society. Not criminals within the man-made law, but criminals within the laws of what's halal and haram.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah. So, and they're also known for extreme evil, these people who commit these atrocities in the name of being organized, businessmen and women.
What about your social planners, It's okay for a man to dress like a woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay for a woman to dress like a man. It's okay for people to wake up in the morning, I feel like a woman today. This is something that's growing.
Well, it brings to mind a movie back in 1973 called The Wicker Man.
Yeah.
And
I remember it. I didn't see it, but I remember the movie.
The Wicker Man is a giant man, statue made out of wicker wood. In the different limbs of this man, they sacrifice animals, and then in the head of the wicker man, they put a human in there. And they set it on fire, and this is for their solstice or whatever, and it's about that.
I wonder what the association with this would be to what they call the Burning Man festival they have.
It's very similar.
I don't think they're involved in any kind of sacrifice or anything like that, but who's to say where it'll lead in the future?
Well, it's the way the Burning Man looks. First of all, where it's located, it's located in the desert where Shaitan is, the jinns are worshipped. And people are out there dressed with no clothes on, and they're doing their thing. They're doing a more modern style of worshiping Shaitan than what came before. So instead of it being a wicker man, it has the Burning Man. It's the same thing, because they set the wicker man on fire, like the Burning Man.
Yeah, that's like the finale of the entire
right.
event.
That's what the Wicker Man is about. The movie is telling you about their ibadah. But what I found interesting about this movie is that on this place that they did this movie was a real place. And they thanked the people of that island in the credits for allowing them to use the island, the producers, for allowing them to use the island to talk about their religion or whatever. Right? That's one. The movie had depicted the people who were in charge on that land were women. So they were being put forward as the people in charge, like today, empowered women, quote unquote. And also they had a lot of homosexuality in this. They jumped over flames, trying to, like Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick, trying to impregnate themselves from the fire god. No clothes. As now the people there is a push for people to undress, and the sickness has even reached the lands of the Muslims for them to take off their clothes, and this is why it was such a problem for the women to stay dressed, the Muslim women to stay dressed, because of and the pressure from other places for them to undress, because the religion of Wicca is being pushed on a more international scale. But in a secretive way.
Which shows that they have their people running many of the social planning agencies
Yeah,
within the societies around the world.
all over the world.
Yeah, all
All
over the
over the
world.
world.
This is interesting. I didn't see it that way, but
Well, the
now
goal
that you
is to
mention it,
lead most, if not all, mankind
mhm,
to hell. That's what Shaitan wants to do.
Yeah.
He promised to do it. He became our avowed enemy. And you either follow him in his footsteps when Allah said, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Do not follow in the footsteps of Satan, of Shaitan.
he is to you an avowed enemy.
He is to you an avowed enemy.
Hmm.
So don't do it. If you do follow him, then you'll follow him right into hell. So don't follow Shaitan. Follow the guidance that God and Allah gave.
One of the
mankind.
things that we have to consider is that also the more we get away from the commandments of Allah to be moral beings,
Yes.
all right, the more disease we have, the worse the weather gets. We have poison the water. We have poison the air. We're even feeding people. I won't say that because I have no proof other than what I saw on the internet. But I was going to say plastic rice and plastic eggs, but I don't know. But I could see them doing that because there was this guy that was feeding children melamine or some chemical as milk, I think it was, synthetic milk in China, and killed a lot of babies, but it's just to make money, okay? So these are things that we see growing worldwide, which means that there really is some type of an evil mentality, a formalized, not some type, a formalized evil method of instructing people to do things that are not in the interests of the overall human family.
Well, they want to openly be able to sacrifice, as we mentioned, the Luciferians and the Satanists. They want to be able to sacrifice.
Yeah, and and when you're able to observe these things, this tells you why understanding them helps you to avoid them, and this is why Islam works.